1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've got audio now. Good. It's a combination of analog mixer. And a few other things. So I think we are now finally to air here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just getting that level right on vMix so that I don't overdrive YouTube. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's a little bit too much, I think, for vMix, not YouTube, I should say. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining in on this session, 1st of August. Well, first month, 2nd of August, new month for 2024, and a very pleasant good evening to everybody who's tuned in tonight. And I trust that everybody is in good health and is feeling well and trying to stay warm. So we're broadcasting on the prime frequency of 3541 kilohertz in the 80 meter amateur radio band, and also via the Melbourne television repeater VK3RTV digital channel 1, which has just finally come good. I've had to start the transmitter about 3 times to finally get a picture up on the repeater. So that was one of the main reasons why there was a bit of delay. We're also streaming on our Discord channel, which you can find if you register on Discord. There's no funds involved, just to register, and then look for astronomy chat room, and then you'll be able to find the chat room as such, and the high definition video stream that's associated with the stream, and which is running in conjunction with the repeater, and also YouTube. You'll find me on YouTube if you look for VK3CSJ on the YouTube search engine and look for a live indicator, and that should be working as well. I'm broadcasting once again through my mobile telephone connection to the World Wide Web. So when it comes to doing this session on a Friday night, it's the only one that seems to work. I don't lose the internet due to RF getting into the modem as such. So we'll see how that works. So far, people have been telling me that the YouTube stream has worked quite well doing it this way, even though I'm getting indications here that I don't quite have the bandwidth there for doing this via the telephone arrangement. But at this stage, it seems to be successful. Anyway, yes, we had a luncheon today. The 160 metre coffee break net. For those who aren't aware, since the 1960s, there's been a fairly regular coffee break net on 160 on 1825 kilohertz. It's had a couple of frequency changes over the years, but it's currently on 1825 kilohertz AM at 11 o'clock every morning. Well, weekday mornings, not usually on the a weekend, although Saturday mornings do usually bring a little bit of interest at around 11 o'clock. But anyway, a luncheon was organised today. It's over at Lilydale Crown Hotel, and it was quite a good turnout. About 20 people turned out, the regular listeners and stations that participate in the Coffee Break Net. So if there's anybody that's listening today or tonight from the Coffee Break Net boys, send us an email, vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com if you're watching tonight, and or maybe even listening on 3541. All right. So let's just, for those listening for the first time, the usual blurb. One day I'll record this. The Astronomical Society of Victoria, of which this broadcast is on behalf of, was founded in 1922 and comprises well over 1,600 members scattered about the country and overseas. I'm just checking my text messages here just in case something else, any messages come through. Membership of the Society is open to all persons with an interest in astronomy. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study and practice of astronomy and to disseminate the knowledge of the science and to provide greater facilities for the study among its members. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month, except in January, with the latter being held on a Saturday night. Meetings start at 8 p.m. at the Mullio Hall, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is located not too far from the Shrine of Remembrance. Parking is available in Burwood Avenue, Dallas Brooks Drive, and the surrounding streets. Admission is free, and visitors are most welcome. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at the Melbourne Observatory, receipt of the ASV's magazine Crux containing articles, news, observing notes and the like, and the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly meetings, weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector and a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor which is managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a photoheliograph are also housed at the observatory and are accessible as well. The Society also has a number of 200mm reflectors available for short period loan, so members can try before they buy. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote, some 90-minute drive north of Melbourne. There are a range of instruments available for members to use, the larger two with appropriate training, and they range from 300mm to 1000mm in aperture. Also located on the site is a fully steerable 8.5-metre radio telescope, which members can access with involvement with the radio astronomy section. A very pleasant good evening to any RAS members that might be listening tonight. Members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the Society. Currently there are about 20 sections that are active and getting involved with things, and they basically are instrument making, or so I should say the other areas of interest that members can participate in are deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet, radio astronomy, computing, cosmologies and astrophysics, historical studies and research and astronomy in general. Contact details for various section directors are provided in the yearbook, which is this what I'm holding and reading from every week. But if you don't have this marvellous publication that the ASV do, then you'll find this information via the ASV website at www.asv.org.au. Further information can be obtained by visiting the ASV website, as just mentioned, and notifications of the events are given in the Crux Extra Bulletins sent out via email to members. And please note that the ASV will conform to all government health directives, thus ASV events may be required to be cancelled, postponed or moved. If you wish to write a letter to the Secretary, to the ASV, address it to the Secretary, the Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. There it is. That's what the ASV is all about. And more information can be obtained by simply visiting www.asv.org.au. And as I hold it up to the web camera there, and that's yes, everybody knows that. Okay, you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Yearbook, the Astronomical Society, and the Yearbook. All right. Got the Olympics on my over my right shoulder here. We've been watching a lot of that lately, till about 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, now because it is the first of the month, as in beginning of the month, second, whatever, we do have some sky notes courtesy of Tanya Hill of the planetarium. And for August 2024, and she starts off by talking about the star, the Blaze star nova, which is imminent. I've got a graphic here of this too, which I'll bring up on the screen. There it is. And now just trying to cut that across. It doesn't want to cut. Why does it want to cut? I don't know why it doesn't want to do this. There we go, finally. I don't know, sometimes it takes its time. I'm pressing on move the picture across and it doesn't want to do it. It's probably got something to do with a slow computer. Anyway, so that's the graphic. Going back to the article. Astronomers, amateur and professional, are excitedly anticipating a new star in the heavens sometime in the very near future, perhaps this month or next. Some 3,000 light years away, we have T Corona Borealis, TCRB for short, also known as the Blaze Star, has given us signs of an impending nova explosion. This binary system of two co-orbiting stars, one a large red giant and the other a small white dwarf, can put on quite a show. The white dwarf is the remnant of a star originally no more than 8 times the mass of our Sun. With not enough mass to maintain the higher temperatures and pressures for ongoing fusion, its nuclear fire ceased a long ago, and it lost its outer layers to space, and its core contracted to an extremely hot, dense sphere of fusion end products. It processes a powerful gravitational field being half the mass of the Sun, but compressed to the Earth size, and lives on, slowly radiating its residual heat. And of course, this picture I've got on the screen right now is a depiction of a binary system with gas from a red giant being drawn into an accretion disk around and onto a co-orbiting white dwarf. In the case of TCRB, this results in a recurrent nova. The two stars move around each other every 228 days in a circular orbit. Every 80 years, the white dwarf relives, albeit briefly, some of it in its former glory. It draws matter to its surface from the diffuse envelope of its companion red giant star. As pressure and temperature rises to a critical level, sudden and massive nuclear fusion is triggered on its surface, resulting in a powerful burst of energy and a brief brightening which is visible from Earth. The nova event has no effect on the large red giant, which remains locked in the small white dwarf's gravitational embrace. While originally a faint star in the constellation of Corona Borealis, the Northern Crown, it will briefly blaze as a new star. Unlike a supernova that destroys a star, the white dwarf lives on. And there's a bit of a video here it just goes for about a minute and 50 seconds. There's no audio. I won't have any audio attached to that, but I'll run that in the background while the article continues. Okay, it's running. Yep. So TCRB is the brightest of the 10 known recurrent nova. Its last nova was observed in 1946, giving valuable data on the phenomenon. 10 years ago, it brightened slightly, and 1 year ago it dipped a little, both being affected or predicted pre-nova signs. If it follows its historical pattern, after going nova, it will very quickly settle back to its normal state, and the cycle will begin again as it accumulates more material from its companion to go nova again in another 8 decades. And so what we're seeing there is a Max Planck Institute, from the Max Planck Institute, a nova explosion in a binary system of nova RS. This is a Latin word, Alpha Ucae. I think that's how you pronounce it. Alpha Ucae is this illustration on the screen at the moment. That's kind of a similar thing that's happening with the coronavirus. Borealis. I can never pronounce that. So that the position on the sky that we have here, just quickly find that. It is around here somewhere. There it is. So that's roughly where to be looking in the sky. So you got Vega, Corona Borealis there, and a few other. This is actually centered in Townsville, it looks like. So, using programs like Stellarium or even heavensabove.com, you'll be able to find what part of the sky this is from your location. So, things to look out for in the next month or so. Hopefully, everybody's concentrating on it and looking. All telescopes are looking that way. So, waiting for this brightness to occur from this particular object. Okay, continuing on. All right, I'll just bring up my camera. You're tuned to VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society Victoria. Regular Friday night broadcast. Okay. Melbourne Sun Times. From the beginning of the month, from the 1st of August, sunrise was at 7:20 a.m., setting at 5:33. On Sunday the 11th, sunrise will be at 7:09 a.m., setting at 5:41. Wednesday the 21st, sunrise will be at 6:57 a.m., setting at 5:49. And then by the end of the month, sunrise will be at 6:43, setting at 5:58 p.m. So our days are progressively getting longer. At the beginning of the month, the day length is 10 hours and 12 minutes, and then by the end of the month it'll be 11 hours and 15 minutes. So yes, roll on summer. Moon phases. New moon on Sunday the 4th, a first quarter on Tuesday the 13th, a full moon on Tuesday the 20th, and a third quarter phase on Monday the 26th of August. Moon distances. Lunar apogee furthest from the Earth is on Friday the 9th at 405,297 kilometres. The lunar perigee closest to the Earth is on Wednesday the 21st at 360,196 kilometres. Now the planets in brief. Mercury is not visible from Melbourne this month as it moves to inferior solar conjunction when it will pass in front of the Sun. Venus is now visible as the bright evening star in the west at dusk before setting by 7 p.m. Mars continues to be seen in the east from around 3 a.m. before it fades in the early dawn light by 6 a.m. Jupiter remains visible from 3 a.m. passing across the northern sky, after which it will also fade in the early morning light. Saturn, and we have a picture here of Saturn with the current pattern in the rings. There we go. So this is basically how the rings are looking at the moment. So Saturn is heading for opposition next month, when it will be on this opposite side of the Earth from the Sun. This month it is visible from 9 p.m. in the east, after which it will move across the north and then be lost in the early morning light. Okay, this is what they say here. For this image, it's Hubble telescope views of Saturn Oh, I see. Okay. The Hubble telescope views of Saturn 1996 through to 2000 that reveal varying views of its rings as seen from Earth. Saturn's rotational axis is tilted 27 degrees from its orbital plane, and in a Saturnian orbit of almost 30 Earth years, our perspective of the planet and its rings changes. At next month's opposition, Saturn will appear bigger and brighter than at other times, and its ring orientation similar to the second from top view of this composite sequence. That's the second from the top there is how the rings will appear at this time. So, okay, fair enough. Continuing on, meteors. This month there's a major meteor shower in the Perseids, which peaks on the 13th to the 14th of the month, although not strong in the southern hemisphere. They are fast and bright, can leave persistent trails, and come from a point below the northeast horizon in the northern constellation of Perseus. These meteors result from the comet Swift-Tuttle comet, which passes near the Sun in 1991, leaving a trail of particles for the Earth to regularly pass through. So that's the 13th to the 14th of August. Star and constellations. In the north this month, evening skies. In the north, this month's evening skies show Virgo and Spicer, the 15th brightest star at night, and 262 light years away, have moved towards the west, while Leo has largely disappeared below the northwestern horizon. However, Libra is high in the north, and in the northeast is Aquila, the eagle, which is with its principal star Altar, and the 12th brightest star at night, and 17 light years from us. If we look to the east, very high in the east after sunset and slowly moving overhead during the night as our planet rotates to the east is Scorpius, and with its impressive curved line of stars, the central star of the three that form the Scorpion's body is the red giant Antares at 34 light years, and the 16th brightest star at night. Rising behind and following during the night is the Centaur Sagittarius, with its bow and arrow forming the famous teapot asterism. Turning our chair to the south, standing high in the southwest is Crux, or the Southern Cross. On a moonless night, and certainly away from city lights, can be seen the dark patch known as the Coalsack Nebula, a vast region of interstellar dust that blocks our view of more distant stars. To its left are the pointers Alpha and Beta Centauri, and the brightest and second brightest stars in the constellation of Centaurus, which is the other horse-human hybrid from ancient Greek myth. Alpha Centauri is also known as Regal Centaurus with a K, and is the fourth brightest star in the night sky. Until very recently, it was thought to be our sun's nearest neighbour at 4.37 light years. We see what appears to be one star, but a modest telescope will reveal it is in fact two, Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B, in close orbit around their Bari center of common center of mass. However, bound to these two stars, but at considerable distance, is the faint, small red dwarf star Proxima Centauri, known also as Alpha Centauri C. Our nearest star system is therefore a triple system. Proxima as the name suggests, is currently the closest to our Sun at 4.24 light years and hosts planets. Announced in the 2016 was Proxima Centauri b, a star slightly more massive than Earth and quickly orbiting much closer than Mercury does to our Sun. It is presumed to be tidally locked, with only one face turned to its star. The second planet, Proxima Centauri c, was discovered in 2020 and is about 7 Earth masses. It lies further out in a 5-year orbit and may possess a ring system. A third planet, Proxima Centauri d, was claimed in 2022, with a quarter of Earth's mass orbiting even closer in a 5-day orbit. Low in the southeast is the 10th brightest star, Echina, and which sits at 144 light years from Earth, and in the southwest lies the second brightest star, Canopus, in the constellation of Carina at 313 light years. From our southern latitude, both these stars never disappear below the horizon. Now, if we turn to the west, low in the northwest is Arcturus, the third brightest star at night, and at 37 light years from us, the constellation of Bootes, in the constellation of Bootes. Corvus, Latin for crow, sits squarely in the west in the evening this month in ancient Greek mythology. However, the sacred bird is a raven that perches on the back of Hydra, the sea serpent. The serpent's nearby head is a little higher up in the west and marks one end of a long, narrow body that snakes to the horizon in the longest of traditional 88 constellations. Okay, the International Space Station. At a distance of about 400 kilometres, the ISS completes an orbit every 90 minutes and appears as a bright object that moves slowly across the night sky. There will be many visible passes this month over Melbourne and central Victoria, but here are at least 2 expected to be the brightest and highest in elevation. On Sunday, the morning of Sunday the 9th, of August, there's a passing at 6:05 a.m. to 6:10 a.m. coming in from the southwest to the northeast. Then on the evening, Wednesday the 14th of August, there's a passing at 7:22 p.m. starting at 7:22 p.m. to 7:26 p.m. coming in from the west-northwest to the south-southeast west. Sorry. And also on it's another time here on the evening of Thursday the 15th of August, there's a passing at 6:33 p.m. starting at 6:33 p.m. and going to 6:39 p.m. coming in from the northwest to the southeast. That's the 15th of August. So look, if you want to get more detailed predictions of when the International Space Station's rocking over, if you don't have a satellite tracking program and that sort of thing, type in Heavens Above in your favourite search engine. Just look for heavensabove.com, and Heavens Above gives predictions for visible passes of the space stations and major satellites, live sky views and 3D visualizations. And for it to work accurately to your location, just put your location, latitude and longitude under the configuration file for that to be super accurate to where you live. So there it is. And now it's 10:32. Actually, I have a solar report from Tamitha tonight. It's a couple of days old, but it'll do. Thanks, Tamitha, for the report. I'm glad. It's been probably about 3 or 4 weeks since her last video. On this day, on the 3rd, it starts off on the 3rd of August 2004. The Messenger USA mission to Mercury was launched. On the 4th of August 2007, Phoenix USA Mars lander was launched. On the 5th of August 1998, NASA's Near-Earth Object Program is created to detect and catalogue asteroids that approach Earth. On the 5th of August 1939, first person to walk on the moon. Oh, right. That always catches me, that sentence, because I never finish reading it. On the 5th of August 1939, first person to walk on the moon, which was American Neil Armstrong, was born. They really should rewrite that sentence. On the 6th of August 2012, the Mars rover Curiosity lands on the Red Planet. Also on the 6th of August 1996, a meteorite from Mars discovered in Antarctica is said by NASA to contain possible microfossils of bacteria. I think we all remember seeing that. That was 1996. On the 7th of August 1959, Discoverer 1 from the USA returns the first satellite images of the Earth, 1959. On the 10th of August 1675, the Royal Greenwich Observatory is established east of London, 1675. Also on the 10th of August 1990, Magellan, USA, arrives at Venus and begins radar mapping of its surface. On the 12th of August 1877, astronomer Asaph Hall at the US Naval Observatory discovers Mars tracks are clearly evident 12.6 kilometer moon diameter moon Deimos. The 12th of August 1877, astronomer Asaph, I think that's how you pronounce that, Asaph Hall at the US Naval Observatory discovers Mars tracks are clearly evident 12.6 kilometers diameter moon Deimos. I'm not really sure what they're trying to say in that sentence. It's a bit disjointed. On the 13th of August 1898, Eros, the first near-Earth asteroid, is found by Carl Gustav Witt. On the 17th of August 1970, the Soviet probe Varuna 7 is launched to Venus and will send its first pictures of the surface of another planet after landing on December the 15th. And on August the 18th, 1877, Mars, 22.5 kilometer diameter moon Phobos is discovered by Asaph Hall. Okay, on the 18th of August 1868, new element helium is found by Perry Janssen from analysis of the sun's spectrum. It is now known to be the second most abundant element in the universe after hydrogen. Interesting. So that was the 18th of August 1868. 1868, the new element helium is found by Perry Janssen after analysing the sun's spectrum. Interesting. On the 19th of August 1960, two dogs, Belka and Strelica, are launched aboard Sputnik 5 USSR and successfully returned to Earth. Also on the 19th of August 1646 was the birth of first astronomer royal John Flamsteed, who catalogued 3,000 stars, I gather. It's actually starts. It's written starts. I have to think that it was actually stars. There's a bit of typo there. On the 20th of August 1975 was the launch of Viking 1, the first probe to land on and study Mars. Also on the 20th of August 1977, Voyager 2 launched to the planets of the outer solar system. 22nd of August 1989, Voyager 2 discovers positive evidence of Neptune's rings, or rings around Neptune. On the 24th of August 2006, the first formal definition of planet is debated and voted upon by the International Astronomical Union in Prague, resulting in dwarf planet status for Pluto. On the 25th of August 1609, Galileo demonstrates to the Venetian Doge, and officials his improved version of the newly invented telescope. And then finally, we get to the end of it. On the 31st of August 1913 is the birth of famous British radio astronomer Bernard Lovell. How about that? Thank goodness that's over. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3 CSJ. All right, let me just have a quick look at email and see if there's any emails that have come in. We have an email from Stefan. He says 80 metres, 30 over, YouTube okay, Discord okay. Excellent stuff. Thank you, Steve. And let me see if I can just have a quick look at Discord. No, that's not that's an email. Where's my Discord there? Right, we have currently in our chat room, and they're posting pictures, or Steve is. We have Steve and Stuart. G'day, Stuart, and Mike, VK3XL. Pleasant good evening to you, chaps. Actually, I think you guys are watching the HD stream. Let me go. See if I can open the chat room here. That's not happening to me tonight, so I'll just minimize that for the moment. All right, and once again, I've been plugging this over the last few weeks. There's a new quarterly magazine that the Astronomical Society has got themselves involved with, or working on. It's called The Southern Astronomer, quarterly magazine featuring news and articles about science, astronomy, astrophotography, space and exploration. They say that we aim to connect these topics to the Southern Hemisphere, a wonderful part of the world home to extraordinary people who have immeasurably contributed to the fields of science and astronomy. So if you go to www.southernastronomer.com, that's all one word, www.southernastronomer.com, you'll find out more about that. Yes, it looks to be quite an interesting publication, online publication. All right, at 20 minutes to 11, this is a very quick little article. And the image I keep, for those watching ATV, I'm not 100% sure why, but my picture keeps dropping out of the repeater. I'm not too certain what's going on there. The Discord HD feed is probably the next option, as well as YouTube, if you're getting a bit frustrated by the dropout on ATV. Let me see. What was I going to pop up just now? Oh, yes, that picture. Okay. Bringing it up. It's here somewhere amongst my pictures. There it is. This is for the astrophotographers out there that are listening to us. And we'll have about two. Okay. How do light pollution filters work? And believe you me, once I get my observatory up and running here in Narrewarren South, a light pollution filter will most likely be the key part of my optical setup, I do believe. These filters work by suppressing the wavelengths of light emitted by man-made sources to allow light from astronomical objects through. Light pollution reduction LPR filters work because many outdoor lightning sources do not shine evenly across the visible spectrum. Instead, they emit radiation at only a few distinct wavelengths. For instance, a high-pressure sodium streetlight radiates principally in yellow wavelengths. LPR filters suppress those and similar wavelengths while allowing others through. LPR filters don't reduce all forms of light pollution, despite their name. They do little to reduce the impact of car headlights, lights directed into the buildings and other fixtures that, unfortunately for astronomers, emit all visible wavelengths. Another common fallacy is that these filters make sky objects look brighter. Filters only subtract light, dimming everything. In the process, however, the backyard sky and field stars darken more than the target. This boosts tend to look a bit better. If you live under a dome of light pollution, i.e. in a city, consider adding an LPR filter to your equipment arsenal. And once you start using filters, you'll be amazed at what you've been missing. Oh yeah. It's the same pleasant experience as putting on shades on a sunny day. So that image on the screen there is the contrast is I think they're depicting, or actually, let's see what they say. That this is a stunning image of the Orion Nebula M42, which was captured under heavy light polluted skies, and thanks to the aid of a light pollution filter. So okay, so this is actually with a filter apparently in the optics setup on the telescope. Isn't that beautiful? I just think that's stunning. I can't wait to be able to capture the same image here. Everybody takes photographs. Anybody into astrophotography, it's probably one of the very first things that they try to take a picture of. Anyway, there it is. You're tuned to VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with a regular Friday night broadcast that started at 10 o'clock and aims to finish at around 11-ish. Next article I have here on my list of things. Yep. Okay. Courtesy of sciencealert.com. Apparently there is a signal buried in biggest explosion ever seen, hints at total annihilation. 2nd of August this was published. And there is some sort of video that runs with this too. Let me see if I can just have that running while I'm reading out the article. It goes for about 3 minutes, so I'll just
in
run that.
In late 2022, the brightest gamma ray burst ever seen shocked
let
astronomers.
me kill that audio. 1, 2, yep, still there, okay. Don't need the audio there. And I'll put that on a loop, so it just goes on for a little bit. Okay. Every now and again, the night sky lights up with spectacular explosion that blazes with the most energetic light our universe can produce. Known as gamma ray bursts, they can release in a few seconds what our sun will emit over its lifetime. Now scientists have found a never before seen signal buried in the spectrum of electromagnetic radiation delivered by the brightest gamma ray burst ever recorded. That signal is an emission light, a bright region in the gamma ray spectrum produced by something emitting light in that specific wavelength range. And that something scientists have determined is complete and utter destruction of the mutual annihilation of electron-positron pairs, matter and its antimatter counterpart. Nicknamed the BOAT, B-O-A-T, short for the brightest of all time. The burst was detected back in October 2020. It was the result of a huge star exploding as its core collapsed into a black hole, spilling out so many energetic protons we had a hard time taking accurate measurements, they say. But measurements were indeed taken, and scientists knew from very early on that they were looking at something special. A few minutes after the boat erupted, Fermi's gamma-ray burst monitor recorded an unusual energy peak and caught our attention, says astrophysicist Maria Evidij Ravasio of Robound University in the Netherlands. She says, "When I first saw that signal, it gave me goosebumps. Our analysis since then shows it to be the first high confidence emission line ever seen in 50 years of studying gamma ray bursts." And there is actually a graphic for that. I think that video's run twice now, so I'll just bring up this other part of the article. It looks pretty good, doesn't it, on that screen? Alright, back to that. So what we're seeing there, an example of emission lines on a spectrum. This particular series is the emission signature of beryllium. Appearing as brightened bars on the spectrum of light emitted from a source, emission lines indicate something is causing light of particular wavelengths to shine more brightly, a source of extra emission. Similarly, dark bars known as absorption lines can appear where wavelengths of light are absorbed. Emission and absorption features can tell us a lot about the constituent chemistry of various astrophysical processes, from the metallicity of stars to the molecules in the makeup of distant planetary atmospheres. There are different scenarios that can produce a gamma ray burst, an explosion of the most energetic light on the electromagnetic spectrum, but the one that produced the BOAT, B-O-A-T, officially named as GRB 22109A, was the birth of a black hole. The outer material... where was I just then? The outer material of the star was violently ejected out into space, while the core collapsed under gravity to form the densest kind of object in the universe. And there's another graphic here, which I'll bring up now. Okay, this is what's on the screen right now is an artist's impression of an astrophysical jet erupting from an object. It's just an artist's impression. But it's pretty close. This explosion was companioned by jets or particles bursting outwards in opposite directions. This is what we see in gamma ray bursts when a jet angled towards our line of sight. When GRB 22109A first exploded, the brightness was so extreme it obscured any detail. Over 80 seconds, the burst evolved from a peak energy of 12 million electron volts down to around 6 million electron volts. Just 5 minutes later, the brightness had subsided enough for the Fermi Gamma Ray Telescope to discern an emission line that lasted for at least 40 seconds. The researchers believe a phenomenon called annihilation was responsible for the enhanced glow. When an electron and its antimatter counterpart, a positron, collide, they produce the annihilation occurred in a jet that was moving towards us as roughly 99.9% the speed of light, and this made the energy appear much brighter than it was, an illusion based on our viewing angle that can be seen in other astrophysical jets, they say. Because we're looking into the jet where matter is moving at near light speed, the emission becomes greatly blue shifted and pushed toward much higher energies, explains astrophysicist at the Science Institute at Italy. Although it seems like GRB 22109A was an extreme example of a gamma ray burst, subsequent observations and analysis have since revealed that the boat was actually quite normal, and its brightness was merely the result of its orientation, erupting right in our direction. This is actually good news. It means that we can use the boat to understand how gamma ray bursts typically evolve over time, and the process that they make within them. After decades of studying these incredible cosmic explosions, we still don't understand the details of how these jets work, says astrophysicist Elizabeth Hayes of the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. Finding clues like this remarkable emission line will help scientists investigate this extreme environment more deeply. The findings were published in Science. So, yes, very interesting stuff indeed. Okay, you're tuned to VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. Now comes our Tamitha's solar report. Let me get it all queued up. Her video is just there, and if everything goes okay, hopefully I won't blast you guys with too much audio level on 80 meters. I'll have to very quickly wind that down if it's too much. Anyway, here's Tamitha. Oh, Struth, what was all that?
Big solar flares, both Earth side and on the Sun's far side, plus multiple Earth-directed solar storms, are the focus of this week's Spotlight. Space weather this week gets very exciting as we take a look at our Earth-facing disk. Clear back on the 23rd, things started to get very exciting, not so much on the front side, but because of the far side. On the far side, the STIX instrument on Solar Orbiter saw an X14 class flare. This is a big flare at an R4 level radio blackout, one we haven't seen in quite some time. And that let off a very massive solar storm that was not Earth directed. But as we take a look at the location of this on the Sun's far side, this is the location of old region 3738. So it looks like that region's been pretty busy, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. As you'll see, it's been pretty busy on the Sun's far side. So as we return back to the Earth-facing disk, well, regions 37, 64, and 65 come on the front side of the Sun with a vengeance. You can see a big solar storm being launched there. So they had our attention right away. Also, region 37, 62 started growing and giving us low-level M-class flares, but nothing too substantial. Again, then, on the Sun's far side, we got interrupted by the STIX instrument going, hello, Sun's far side. We just had a near X7 class flare, and this once again had a big solar storm attached to it, and it was also from a region that looked like it was about to rotate into Earth view from the Sun's far side. So my goodness, we may have multiple regions that we have to worry about. Well, that continued just a little bit longer because region 37, 62, 68, 64, and 65 really began to pick up up the ante, let's say. And by about the 26th, we started getting little puffs from region 3762, and you can actually see a few like little light puffs here. This is when we started to have slow, like these light Earth-directed solar storm launches. In fact, late on the 20th, you could actually see in coronagraphs a small kind of light partial halo going to the south of us, and then also a little bit of a finger going north, as you can see right here. So this began some small Earth-directed solar storms launching, as I said, late on the 26th, which meant, well, probably going to arrive at Earth like late on the 29th. But we weren't really expecting all that much. That was just kind of a little wispy stuff. These regions continued to give us and fire off some wispy stuff, but the far side of the Sun got a lot crazier, as you'll see in a second. You can see we got a bit of a small flare right there from region 3764, but it wasn't eruptive. Meanwhile, on the Sun's far side, we had yet another big X-class flare. This was an X11 class flare, along with some small pops you can see here. And as we take a look at the actual locations on the Sun, well, we had the big solar flare from, once again, region 3738, but we have a new region here in the north, and that's already firing off small M-class flares. So again, multiple regions on the Sun's far side have been giving us a lot of activity. But as we take our attention back to the front side of the sun, you can see once again another pop from region 3762 and a little bit of activity here from region 3768. And yes, once again, more solar storm launches. Now, first we've got this massive solar storm. This was from that X11 class flare from old region 3738. It is now, as you can see, getting really asymmetric in terms of its halos. So that means that region definitely rotating closer to the east limb, and it's going to be coming into view here very shortly. But just after this big solar storm from that, during that X11 class flare, you can see a second halo here. It's much gentler and it's probably camouflaged on this side. This was from region 3768, and then even after that, look, another halo. So these two solar storms, these are far more substantial than the other two that we had just a day or so ago. So we're sitting at like, what, 4 different solar storms that are now Earth directed. We also may even have another one in here. This was from a light filament launch, likely not Earth directed, but it tells you that the forecasters are really working hard to try to get these solar storms modeled. And so as we continue watching, we're looking at these regions popping very small flares, but once again, this one goes off just a little bit and shoots up something here. Once again, we have another very mild halo in the coronagraphs. You can see the top part of it here, and then maybe even something down in here. So we might yet have another partially Earth-directed solar storm. Likely not. It might graze us, but probably not too bad. So that's 4, maybe 5 possibly solar storms that are either Earth-directed or partially Earth-directed, and we're thinking, okay, are we done? But no, region 3764 is just getting started. In fact, early on the 28th, you can see it fires pow right there, a near X-class flare, and you can watch this blast wave just expand across the disk. This has definitely launched an Earth-directed solar storms. We are waiting for coronagraphs right now to get a better idea, but without any data, it looks like this solar storm could be reaching us early on the 29th, which is, oh my goodness, about the same time that those first set of solar storms are supposed to be hitting us. So what that means is that this storm could actually compress all of those other solar storms together, and it's a very similar situation to what we had with the Gannon storm back on May 10th, but it's not nearly as intense. Yet region 3764 may still give us even more big solar flares as it continues to rotate through the Earth strike zone over the next few days. And you'll have to stay tuned so that we can see if there are more model updates for the coming storms. And now switching to our full sun map, we take a look at SUVI data. This is in the red. This is the front side of the sun, as well as solar orbiter EUVI data. This is the far side of the sun to get an idea of what's lurking on the sun's far side. We know we've been seeing some big solar flares, so it's nice to have a little bit of imagery on the far side to be able to get a better idea of how it's all unfolding. And as we look at the disk over the last week or so, you can see region 3762 rotating into Earth view. That's one of the big solar storm players. And you'll see some just forming over here. This was region 3764 and 65. So these are the regions here as they rotate into Earth view here over the last week. They're the ones that caused all the solar storms that we've been seeing over the last couple days Earthside. But keep your eyes on old region 3738. In fact, you'll actually see it flare a couple times. So here we go. Here's where these regions are rotating into Earth view, causing lots of trouble when they were on the east limb. But look at region 3738 back on the 22nd. This is when we had that big X14 class flare. Solar orbiter actually caught it in the imagery, which is just amazing. That's how long it burned. But that region is not the only region that's actually growing. We can see old region 3744 as well as region 3745. You can actually watch them grow as well. Region 3738 gets caught with another big solar flare, so we know this region is flaring. And look here on the very edge of the imagery, at least in this view, you can see this is that new region that was actually giving us a couple M-class flares over the last few days. So this region is growing quite quickly and will be rotating into Earth view in about, maybe maybe 4 days from now, this one should be rotating into Earth view over the next couple days. So we definitely have a lot of activity on the sun's far side, new regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view, as well as the players we're already dealing with now. So over the next couple weeks, expect big radio blackouts to stay on the menu, and expect Earth-directed solar storms to be something that we are going to be watching out for quite some time. For more details on how this coming solar storms and the solar flares might affect you, stay tuned to this channel or check out my more frequent updates on Patreon and X.
Okay, thank you, Tamitha. And let me just bring my camera ready there. There we go. The other camera. Thanks, Tamitha, for that report. And even though it was over, I think she published that about 4 days ago. So, but it's still, from a historical point of view, it's always interesting to hear how she goes about presenting that. You're tuned to ASV Radio VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Just making sure my levels here are right, because I have to change my levels around when I put the video on. I think I'm okay. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 4 5. Yeah, everything seems to be okay. All right. So now we just very quickly go to spaceweather.com. I'm going to hold. There's another interesting article that I was going to. I held over from last week, and I'll hold over for this week till next week. Very interesting. NASA's most wanted, the 5 most dangerous asteroids to Earth. It's really interesting to get to go through that. So I'll keep that for next week. Okay. Let me just bring up my graphic of the sun, and there it is. Okay, so at the moment the solar wind is at 408.7 kilometers per second at a density of 1.71 protons per cubic centimeter. The disk of the sun, as we speak, has several sunspots on it. Too many to count. Actually, I'm not sure if I've got the right image up here. Oh no, I do. Yep, that's the current one. That's the most current one. So if we could look at the sun right now with appropriate equipment, that'd be how it would look. All those sunspots there. The sunspot number is currently 260, and the radio sun, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimeters, the radio flux is 234 solar flux units. It's pretty high. The KP index, the planetary K index, which I mentioned in some detail last week, the KP is currently equal to 1.67, which is considered quiet. The 24-hour max KP figure is 3.33 and also is considered quiet. If you go to spaceweather.com, these figures that they put in the left-hand column there are explanations that are offered to how to understand these terms and definitions and meanings, which is what I basically read out last week. Okay, having said that, Geomagnetic Storm Watch, G2. NOAA has issued a geomagnetic storm watch for the 3rd of August, when a CME is expected to graze the Earth's field, hurled into space by an M8 class solar flare. The CME could spark G2 class geomagnetic storm with naked eye auroras in the northern part of US states, and most likely down here as well. Actually, that reminds me, I do have the latest image here for the aurora, the ring over Antarctica, and you can see that there's a little bit of activity with an inclination towards Tasmania, southern part of Australia, but it's only a 50-50 type possibility of seeing any aurora. If you're in Tasmania, there might be something happening, but nothing to get too carried about at this point in time. the rest of the article here at spaceweather.com talks about the aurora. There's actually a picture they show of it. I haven't really worried about that. And having said all that, nothing much else to report other than the fact that as of the 2nd of August 2024, there were 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids. So, I'll make that an interesting article for next week. Having said all that, I note that we have an email from Steve VK3HK, who's got a good report there. So thanks, Steve. Thanks for those emails. And if we look to the Discord feed, again we have Dallas and Steve, VK3SBX, Stuart, VK3UAO, VK3GL, and VK3XL monitoring the HD stream. I'm not sure why I can't bring up my chat room. I'm clicking on the damn thing, and no, I'm sure I'm seeing it there. The last entry there is from Kieran, VK3 BTV. So if there's no more entries after that, then I am seeing it all up to date there from what I can see. Dallas reckons that there's no YouTube. Well, it should be there. Oh, maybe not, but my indicator tells me that the YouTube stream is running. Just looking back there, Mike's there as well. And Cassiopeia and Richard. All right. And g'day to Bruce if you're there, Bruce. Okay. Now, yep. All right. That's the chat window. So, recommendation is to install Discord. Just go to the Discord website and register. If you're registering for the first time, it should be fairly straightforward. There's a few questions that get asked, but that's all just for security reasons. And then I can provide a link that allows you to be able to see the HD stream and the astronomy chat room as well. So, yep. But the advantage of the HD stream is that it's less than a second delay as to what you're hearing on the radio right now as I speak on 80 meters, whereas YouTube there's anything up to 20-second delay, which is a bit frustrating for folks that are listening to me on 80 meters and then trying to catch up with the video side of it on YouTube. This is where Discord just seems to shine. So I'm not really sure what the kind of how they're doing it, but anyway, there it is. Having said all that, it's now 10 past the hour. I think that's about it. I think that's it. There was something else I was going to say. I can't remember now. It's gone. All right. We shall get my logbook. And if there's any stations wishing to check into tonight's broadcast, by all means, go ahead now. Oh, hang on a second before you do. Let me just check if my audio here is right for that. I should be able to feed you through over the digital channels medium. This is VK3 EKH listening on 3541. Okay, VK3JR, VK3SPX, VK5 Whiskey Alpha, VK3BTV, VK3XL. Anybody else? Alrighty then. No, Graham. Across to you there, Frank. VK3 Juliet Radio, VK3 EKH. Thank you, Frank. VK3JR, VK3EKH returning. And yes, your audio was tropping out there on peaks. Not all the time, just a couple of times. Your signal came up nice and loud, and all of a sudden it would cut back. But it seemed to come good towards the end of the year over. But yeah, there were just a couple of times for some reason your signal suddenly cut back on the modulation peak, so I'm not too certain the reason for that. But anyway, we got all of it. And yeah, I'll go listening to I'll tune into 1865 in a short moment. And yes, I agree. It's always nice to have Tamitha's report. If she could just do a weekly report, that would be so good. I could just at a time that fits my broadcast, it would be really appropriate. Anyway, but she's predominantly in the northern hemisphere, so it's just for education purposes, really. Anyway, thanks, Frank. Across to you there, Steve. VK3SBX, VK3EKH.
Started and to have a look if I could see any aurora, because I did see a little bit of an aurora yesterday. It wasn't much to write home about, but yeah, it was a little bit of red, particularly taking the photo with the phone, on the night sight thing. And I had a look before, and look, I imagine I could just see a little tiny bit maybe, but it really wasn't worth going out, and all I succeeded in doing is letting in a giant mosquito, so probably wasn't a win. But anyway, anyway, apart from that, not much else doing. I just popped a picture there. That's a picture I took of Proxima Centauri, which is a damned hard little thing to find because it's a miserable, tiny little 14th magnitude star, I think, that you can't see with the naked eye. And it took quite a lot of work to actually figure out which dot it was. So in that picture you see hundreds of stars because, that's what the telescope's done to magnify them all up so you can see them like that. If the Alpha Centauri was in that picture, it would be so bright to wash out everything else. But the Proxima Centauri, little runt of a red dwarf. Anyway, there we go. Okay, thanks, Clint. VK3EKH, VK3SPX.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. VK3SPX, VK3EKH returning, and I'm just going to see if I can grab that picture. If I can save it there, we should be able to bring it straight up onto the TV side of things. Add picture, image, browse, pictures, radio. There it is. Open. Okay. And all right, where are we? There it is, and across we go. So there's a few keystrokes involved, but there it is. What Steve was just referring to. The picture that he added there on the Discord. This is another reason why I like Discord, is that you can quickly add images and the like to the file. And yeah, Proxima Centauri. Interesting stuff. All right, thanks, Steve. Okay, next station on the list is VK5 Whiskey Alpha. You weren't too strong tonight, Dallas, but we'll see how we go. VK5 Whiskey Alpha, VK3EKH.
G'day, Clint. Yeah, you're quite
good here, good propagation tonight.
That's all right.
Hearing you quite well. Yeah, as usual, I struggle with Discord. Eventually I got a picture that I can get audio. And the YouTube was dropping out. But eventually it came good, and so I relied on the YouTube. But I kept restarting it and trying to get it to pick up, and it wouldn't. I can never understand what I do wrong. So between the two, and then I mostly listened on HF, which worked out very well tonight. Quite good. Interesting information, and yeah, there's anything deep star fields there, you just add up. All right, good evening all, and I'll pass it on. VK, thanks again, Clint, VK at 5WA.
No worries. Dallas VK5WA, VK3EKH returning, and you're about 5 and 8, 5 and peaking to 5 and 9. My noise floor here is actually fairly quiet tonight. It's about strength 6, hovering around S6 to S7, so you're just above that. Thanks, Dallas. And as far as I know, my YouTube stream is still streaming. I don't think I've had any problems tonight. I mean, because I'm using the mobile, the mobile network instead of the direct VDS cable, VDSL cable. The bandwidth is a bit more restricted. That's all. But for the last half hour, it seems to be holding, going by the indicator here on my vMix program. I'll check it later anyway and see how it did come across. But so far, it's been successful, because otherwise I'd be dropping out of my YouTube, out of the internet normally. It's just a solution. It hasn't quite solved the problem, I don't think. Kieran, g'day mate, VK3BTV, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, VK3BTV. There you go, Clint. It's been a while. I'm just back up on here now. I'm on the western side of Lilydale, up the hill next to the edge of Churnside Park. New location, new spot for the mast, and hopefully I'm getting out okay. You're about 40 over 9 here, solid. And great broadcast tonight. And the Space Lady's got me worried. Region 3764, that's probably going to clobber us tomorrow, I guess. You've got to love her exuberance too. But apparently that's going to be a bit of a nasty one. But yeah, great broadcast. And well done, Steve, on getting Proxima Centauri. It's probably not an easy thing to do the first time, so well done. And g'day to Mike, VK3XL. And I've been keeping an eye on the news. Not all news is good, but we'll see what happens. VK3EKH, VK3BTV.
Yeah, I know. I've done it again. Here I am chatting madly away, and I've got the mic down, on the mixer down. That's the second time I've been caught out on that. There's probably been a conversation happening in the background, people seeing me talking away on the camera here without no audio. So my apologies for that. I probably don't need to wind the mic gain, the fader down on the mic. It's just so that because I feed the audio from the 80 meter receiver over through the computer system, so that everybody on the repeater and also YouTube and Discord can hear directly the audio off 80 meters, and I tend to kill my audio off the microphone here. So there's no extra pickup from the microphone. It's a direct patch. And if I forget to bring up the microphone, that's it. Nobody hears me chatting away, despite the fact that I've got a power meter in front of me here that I can see moving around as I talk. And I didn't notice that wasn't working. It wasn't until I actually turned to go to the receive mode that I didn't see the power meter on the radio moving. Sorry, my fault. Anyway, thanks, Kieran. That's all I was saying. Thanks. And your signal is quite good. 5 and 9 plus here into Narre Warren South. Otherwise, I won't worry about everything else I said. Mike, if you're still awake, have a say, mate. VK3XL, VK3EKH.
Yeah, VK3EKH in the group. VK3XL. Yeah, all good. I did a couple of experiments, and I determined that the YouTube video feed seemed to be 28 or 30 seconds behind what was coming across on 80 metres, and the Discord video is maybe a second and a half behind, so much more preferable to watch through Discord. And for those that are worried about the impending solar storm, I just looked up the forecast, and overnight here, overnight in the US, I think, because it's a US-based site that I looked at, they expect the KP index to get up to 6.5 or 7, and around 1800 UTC, and then it will slowly peter away by about 0300 UTC tomorrow. Yes, it's going to be pretty lousy propagation conditions, I would suggest, tomorrow morning. VK3KH in the group, VK3XL.
That's a mightily strong signal from you, Mike. You're a good 60 over 9. Mike's just up the road from me here. I could almost throw a stone and hit his antennas. Well, not quite, but yeah, he's up the hill, about 200 odd meters away, I guess, maybe 300. Yeah, 300. I'll give it, possibly 400. There's a group of hams in this area. If we all came on at the same time, we'd be giving ourselves trouble. There's a noisy car going past. The WWV is also another possible source of updated information on solar reports. But you have to be kind of listening to the time signal surface quite a bit to be able to hear their broadcasts, and if you can't be bothered listening to a second clicks and other things, then maybe the internet's the next source of that information. Anyway, all right, not a problem. Thanks, Mike. Good to hear you. Thanks for the information there. The KP indexes that I read out off spaceweather.com, they could be 24 hours out. The spaceweather.com usually updates on a 24-hour basis, but like I say, I by the time I read it out, it could be quite a few hours old. All right. Is there any other stations wishing to check in tonight? This is VK3EKH listening.
VK3 Hotel Kilo.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yes, dearie mate. I caught some of it, caught some of the broadcast. I was looking forward to hearing Tamitha, but you were overdriving poor old Tamitha like mad. Sent you an email, sent you 2 emails actually.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, good work. It was very interesting, especially that article on the Star blowing itself up and the graphics. Very, very good. Anyway, back to you, VK3EKH, VK3 Hotel Kilo.
Just out of interest, did you receive my email?
I certainly did, and I definitely appreciate those stills. I intend using the video which I put together and some stills and yours, and I've sent an email to Steve number 2 because I know that he was clicking stuff all over the joint, so we'll put something up on YouTube.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Yep. Thanks, Steve, for that. That's excellent stuff. Yeah, I didn't really get around. I was stuck at the end of the table there, and once Steve, VK3YJQ Steve, starts chatting to you, you're kind of locked into a conversation with him for quite a while. And then I had Paul, VK3 AHM come down, and I felt that Paul wanted to have a chat with me too, but there was like Donald was holding the floor at the time. So but anyway, I caught up with a few, and it was definitely good. Marty, it was great to catch up with Marty though. His whole persona, that the sound of his smiling voice on the radio comes through. I can see it now. So anyway, enough of that. Anyway, thanks, Steve. It sounds like you got a bit of work involved there, so not a problem at all. All right, if there's nobody else, I shall depart the scene. And I got your emails about the audio overdriven. I was monitoring it here in the shack using the monitor on the Pro 3. And the audio going to air directly from the monitor point didn't sound too bad, but I did knock it down probably about 3 dB, just enough. So I did eventually bring it down a bit halfway through, but if it was still too much, then there it is. Anyway. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, on behalf of the ASV, with its regular Friday night broadcast coming to a conclusion for tonight on the 2nd of August. Thank you for listening and watching to the bilge, and we'll be back next Friday to do it all again. And like I say, I have a very interesting article that I held over this last week and this week, all to do with potentially dangerous asteroids that are being monitored, let's say. All right, cheers everyone. Take care. Have a warm weekend. Try and stay warm. We'll see you next Friday. It's horrible. It's going to be one of those nasty weekends again, I think. This is VK3 EKH concluding for tonight's session. Cheers, everyone.
Great job, Clint.
Thanks. All right. For the I can never get a chance here. Yeah, go ahead, Graham.
Oh, g'day, Clint. Trust you're all good. I'm sorry I didn't get to the call back tonight. I've been a bit busy at work with some other bits and pieces and that tonight, so didn't get the opportunity to check in. And I heard that you were just sort of winding up.
Yes.
I'll see if I can chime in now. I trust you've been well and you've had a good week. And as much as it's been pretty chilly, we had the 3 mornings here that were below zero It was minus 0.4 this morning, minus 1.6 I think the night before, and minus 1.8 the day before that. So some pretty cool mornings, that's for sure. And I think it's not going to stop there. I think it's going to be cool again on Sunday morning. Tomorrow's supposed to be maybe a little bit wet. Anyway, there we go. As I said, I trust all is well. VK3CSJ, VK3GL.
Yeah, okay, great. VK3GL, VK3EKH, CSJ. I might as well change the call sign for the moment. In fact, I'll drop the text on the screen and bring that up. Okay. Yeah, no worries, great. Thanks for chiming in, as you say, and I won't hang around too long. But otherwise, yeah, it's certainly been chilly. A lot of people are making the same comment that the chill factor has been pretty strong these last couple of weeks at least, and that's to be expected when you get cold air coming up from Antarctica. And there was an interesting article on the southern dipole that's taking shape, which is going to bring more cold weather and rain precipitation to the southern part of Australia, missing out a little bit Victoria, the way it looks, but mostly Perth, Western Australia and South Australia will get a little bit more rain than normal, according to this article on this southern dipole thing. So anyway, enough of that. Otherwise, yeah, no, I've been watching a lot of the Olympics lately. I've been having too many late nights. I mean, I have late nights anyway, but I'm afraid the good old Olympics have been capturing my interest, and yeah. So thank God there's another week to go. Yeah, just it's running continuously on the TV over there in the far corner. All right, I can feel the cold coming in right now as I speak. What is the temperature here? I just checked with my weather station, which should be, if I minimise that and go straight to there. It's currently in Narre South. It's not that cold really. Oh, it's cold, but it's 8.8 degrees. Oh. At the lowest has been minus 0.6. Yeah, but at the moment it's 8.8, and the wind is well, there's not much to speak of in the way of wind, but it's been, yeah, northwest direction at the moment. So and that's exactly where it is. It's northwest. It's very interesting looking at the satellite picture here. I think I've got that available here to bring up on TV. Did I have it there? I must have closed it down. Oh, okay. Because yeah, it's been mucking around to get that up. Nothing too unusual. All I've got to do is get the URL and add the URL. Web browser they call it here in vMix, and copy V, OK it, and any second it'll pop up. There it is. It's always different to what I'm showing here. I've got to zoom in on the picture too for it to work more effectively. There's a bit of crap there that doesn't need to be seen. So let me just zoom in on Australia here, and you can clearly see the way the wind is blowing. Sure, there it is on the screen right now as I speak. So my weather station says a northwesterly wind, and it is definitely northwesterly, going by the contours, the wind blowing there. Contours, whatever you want to call them, pointers. Bloody weather. It has definitely been a winter. I've had ice on my windscreen on my car too many times this last couple of weeks, and it's actually delayed me getting to work on time. In fact, I've got the hose ready to use on the car windscreen, and the problem is the water in the hose freezes as well, so I don't get much of a water flow from the hose, if nothing at all. But I did eventually get some flow on Thursday morning, I think, and I'm squirting the windscreen. You know, I'm running the hose right over the windscreen while the wipers are going, and I'm thinking that should be it. That should be enough to get rid of any ice that was on the windscreen. So I put the hose away and get into the car and turn the wipers on again, and there's still ice on the windscreen. It's either I got rid of the ice, but in the process of putting the hose away and coming back to the car, whatever water was on the windscreen froze instantly. I don't know which, but it was still frozen on the windscreen. So I had to use most of the water in my reserve in the car to try and get rid of the ice. You know, my kingdom for a carport. Although the last time I had this problem, which was just a few weeks ago, I used a tarpaulin. I got hold of a tarpaulin and threw it across the car. I don't know why I didn't do that this week, but I'll bring that tarpaulin back out again, and I'll throw it over the car so I don't have to worry about it. That problem in the morning. Dear, it's always something. Anyway, all right. I won't look. I know you're still at work effectively, so I won't carry on. Like I said, I want to get back to the Olympics. It'll be a 3:00 night tonight as well. VK3GL, VK3CSJ.
Yeah, okay, Clint. VK3CSJ, VK3GL. Yeah, all very good. I see your graphic up on the Discord screen at the moment with all of the wind direction and so on. I know you're moving it around on the screen. But I can certainly see that. From what I can see here on my weather station, the wind is predominantly northerly, but there's only a little bit of a breeze every now and again. We've had our look. There's been the usual wind here at this place, so nothing's really changed in that regard. All right, on the windscreen and the ice and so on, yeah, we get the inside of the carport freezes up, and then once the sun starts to come over and get to it, it starts to drip all over the concrete, and we get that also underneath the back decking. Alison's normally out first, going to work, or she did on Wednesday and Thursday morning, and of course those 2 mornings it was frozen over. And I've always said to her she's got to be very careful just walking out on the deck, because when it ices over, it gets very, very slippery, and you can easily fall over on your backside. And I certainly don't want her to do that and hurt herself. So I'm a little conscious of ice on the deck. But other than that, I mean, the days have been lovely. I saw that, or heard that the airport was all fogged in and was pretty foggy in some of the suburbs the other morning, or the 2 mornings in particular, Wednesday and Thursday mornings, a lot of fog around the place. But here by 8:00 in the morning was wall-to-wall sunshine. It was beautiful outside. Didn't get particularly warm during the day, only up to about 14 degrees or so, but the sun was lovely. Really nice indeed. As I said, I think Sunday's going to be another day like that, but I think tomorrow is supposed to be perhaps some rain showers. Anyway, all very good on all of that, and okay on the hose and everything icing up. I was fortunate enough I didn't have to get out of bed particularly early, so it was sort of like 8:15 or something, I think, that I got out of bed. And it was nice just to have the warm sleep in, and then by the time I get up and have a shower and that, and it's sort of 9 o'clock, it's starting to warm up a little bit. Anyway, I can see you fiddling around with the TV or the screen there a little bit. I guess that's cloud cover or something that you've got up there on the screen at the moment, perhaps. Yeah, all right. Well, okay, on all the happenings then. I guess it's just been a normal week. We've got about, what have we got? Another 10 days before we fly out. So Tuesday week we'll be heading off to Japan. So we'll be certainly a lot warmer over there. I've been looking at the temperatures, and they're been like 32, 33, 34 degrees, sort of similar to what I think they're getting in Paris at the moment with the Olympics. I've been watching all of that too, and I see that some of the track and field has started today. I see a few of the events on there. I watched with interest the men's and women's walk that was on last night, and the only reason I did is because every time they went over that bridge which is in front of the Eiffel Tower. That's right on the corner there where the bridge comes onto the boulevard up against the Seine. It's where Alison and I were standing, where we were waiting for our tour group for the Eiffel Tower tour that we did, and we were on that corner. And on the right-hand side of the screen, when you were looking at that bridge towards the Eiffel Tower, on the right-hand side of the screen, there's actually a toilet down there because we both went to the loo. And on the other side, you could actually still see there's a clock, and that was a countdown clock that was geared up for the Olympic Games. And when we were over there, I think it had, I don't know, something like 200 and something days to go or something on it, and it was counting down the minutes and hours, minutes and days, hours, minutes and seconds. It was counting down, and that's still there. It's all on zeros, of course, on the left-hand side of the bridge. But it's good to sort of you get some idea of it. Having been there recently, you get some perspective of where everything is. There was no, when we were over there, they hadn't even put any of the stadium in for the beach volleyball or anything like that. That's right up against the back of the Eiffel Tower. And the dressage and all that sort of stuff, the equestrian, that was at the Palace of Versailles. Yeah, anyway, there we go. But it's nice to see. When we were in Paris, it certainly wasn't as warm as that. We only had sort of like 15, 16, 17 degrees. So I was also watching I think they had the triathlon that was on the other day, and the bike race, which went part way up the Champs-Élysées, and it was the turnaround point was roughly the same spot that there's a restaurant on the side that Alison and I had a meal at when we were over there as well. Yeah, anyway, all very good. And of course, you see the can-can dances and all that sort of stuff. Well, we did go to the Moulin Rouge as well, where we had a front row seat. That would have been, you would have been, I think you would have enjoyed seeing that show anyway, Clint. All right, back to you, VK3, good signal too on 80 metres tonight. From when I have had the radio ticking over in the background quietly, your signal's been good 30 over 9 the whole time. VK3CSJ, VK3GL.
Yeah, okay, Graham. VK3GL, VK3CSJ. And yes, it's very fortunate that you've had a chance to be over there. So all that is, holds some sort of meaning to you, and which is really good. And I was up watching the opening ceremony. I've been binge watching ER on ABC iView, and one of the episode that I was watching finished just before 3 o'clock, and I thought I'll go across to Channel 9 and see if this is worthwhile watching. And I got caught up in it, but I was more bemused over the fact that it was raining. There, as you know, the opening ceremony everybody got wet, and I thought this has got to be a disaster. Carrying all these boats. I think there were 93 or maybe 98 boats that went down the Seine, and all the athletes got wet. And I thought this is perfect kind of way to start off the Olympics. Everybody catching a cold. But I couldn't work out what the idea was of putting a piano on fire. There was one moment that there was a lady singing John Lennon's Imagine on a floating barge, and there was a piano, and they caught fire. And I thought, any second this must be a mistake. Any second they're going to send out boats with fire extinguishers to put out this fire, but it kept on burning, and obviously it was obviously part of the show, but I felt I don't think that's really working. So it's very fortunate the overall aspect to the opening ceremony worked out for them, and I think only partly because they continued on with it. They couldn't just say, we're going to shorten the opening ceremony because of the blasted weather. They persevered. And I think the robotic horse that floated upon the water was interesting, but that was an anticlimax. They had this robotic horse that it looked really impressive when it first came on, and you thought, well, I wonder what's going to happen with this horse. But it was just doing its thing. It just went on for too long. I thought, no, that's killing it now. It's not doing anything. It's just this movement thing. I thought, no, it's got to come to an end now, surely. And of course, the next scene is of the same person, although probably a different person, riding a real horse. But they didn't make the transition right. We should have been able to have had some sort of visual effect that made the transition from this floating robotic horse on the water turning into a real horse and coming down that underneath the Eiffel Tower down towards the cameras and all that. And that didn't quite work out very well. But despite that, I think the ultimate having Celine Dion singing away there in French, I had no idea that she could sing in French. But that worked out very well for her, halfway up the Eiffel Tower. And again, the thing was, there was a piano in the background which was completely saturated with rain. And I thought, how awful is that? I mean, for the sake of the camera, for the sake of the television side of it, surely somebody could have quickly got to the piano and wiped it down so it didn't look saturated. But there it was, a completely wet piano, but I think Celine was quite dry. I don't think she was wet. But the funny thing is, you couldn't even hear the piano. Out of all the other music that was running for that song, you could not hear the piano. So I don't know why they even bothered having a piano there in the first place. Anyway, but it was about 10 minutes to 5. Or no, 10 minutes to 6. I can't remember. 5:52. I noted the time. It was about 5:52 when the Australian athletes on their barge came down the boat down the river. So and I thought, well, the sun is now shining through the windows. I can't go to sleep. I'll just stay up for the rest of the day. So I never went to sleep that night last Friday night, Saturday morning. I just stayed up for the whole day and mingled around. But it's been like that all week. Actually, I've like I said, I get caught up with some of the events. But the BMX was quite interesting to watch. These guys, what they can do with their BMX bikes, that was really quite amazing to watch. But the swimming's been pretty exciting, and it's actually quite good how the swimming events are continuing on for a little bit longer. Normally it would all be finished by now. So yeah, I caught up with some of the track and field tonight. So the track and field's what I'm interested in more so, but it'd be interesting to see how the track and field runs, and the men's and women's marathon. Hopefully the weather won't be too hot for those guys. And the walking event. It's such a strange event. I cannot imagine how you could perfect this style of walking, and the whole idea that one foot has got to be in contact with the ground all the time as you're walking. And I look at them, and I'm looking at through the camera lens, and I'm thinking, come on, they've got to be lifting off the ground. It just looks like they're lifting off the ground. So I don't know. It is a very, very strange event to have, but there it is. And I think we got bronze. Was it? I think we got bronze in that, in the men's one, I think. So that's pretty good. Can't complain. All right, it's 5 minutes to midnight. I'll let you go so you can sign off, and I'll make another cup of coffee. VK3GL, where it's a bit windy out of Bunyip. This is VK3EKH. Sorry, CSJ.
VK3CSJ, VK3GL. Yes, you may have noticed that it had been a little on the windy side. Perhaps over the last day or so down here. Okay, on all of that, I thought the horse down the Seine was a little bit too long. I was trying to figure out what it was all about initially, and it wasn't until I saw the real horse, which again was on that bridge in front of the Eiffel Tower, the one where we were waiting for our tour guides. It wasn't until, and it was I made a comment to Alison, what a magnificent looking horse that was. It was really a stunning horse. It wasn't until I saw that I actually realised that the whole horse thing was about carrying the Olympic flag. And I had no idea that this thing going down the Seine, like I said to Alison, I said, going down it's continually going down the Seine. I said, is it going to go down around Notre Dame and come back again? It was just...
It didn't make sense.
I don't know whether you know, but Notre Dame is sort of on a bit of an island in the middle of the Seine, and you can actually go around it by water, by boat. Anyway, I thought the bloody thing was going to go down there and come back again. I really didn't see the purpose in it, but it was quite magnificent the way that it worked on the water. And I think it was a real person on top of it too. I think it was probably a small person, but there was a real person on the thing. But yes, I saw all the different barges going down. A lot of those are the tour boats that they have that go up and down the river. You may have noticed that on some of them, the bigger ones, the Olympians were out on the top, and underneath there was tables and chairs. They're actually like floating restaurant boats, and a lot of them are moored on the side of the Seine, and they're just sort of there as a well, I suppose they go out every now and again, but otherwise they're just permanently moored as floating restaurants. But I think they would have had to bring a fair few more boats in anyway. They probably didn't have enough that are normally on the river anyway to cater for that. But yeah, look, it was all right. And Celine Dion, yes, she was. I don't know whether you noticed that she was actually roped there was a safety rope behind her, a white safety rope, tethering her to so that she didn't fall forward. Because where she was is actually what they call a restaurant level on the Eiffel Tower. And it's got glass all the way around it, and the restaurants, so she where she was positioned was actually on the roof of a restaurant. And the piano was on the roof of the restaurant as well, so she had to be tethered because there's no protection or anything in front of her. So they had her tied off so that she wouldn't, accidentally fall forward or slip or anything like that, and fall off the Eiffel Tower. That would have been quite spectacular. And she was apparently miming, as to was I think there was the other singers that were miming as well. And the reason they did that is because they figured that they didn't want to have any audio hiccups. So the miming was actually
Pretty good then.
done exceptionally well. And the burning piano, I have no idea what that was all about, none whatsoever.
No idea.
But I did say to Alison, I said if you're after a good second-hand piano, there's a pretty charred one available on Marketplace at the moment, as a result of that part of the show. And the other thing I couldn't understand was, I suppose it was to do with the culture. They had all of those weirdos in all of that fashion get-up. There was some interesting bods in amongst all that, and I said to Alison, when we were over there, we didn't see too much of that. We did see there was a few weird bobs out, but I wouldn't have said that there was any more weirdos walking around the place over there in Paris than what you'd normally find down in St Kilda. But yeah, they're an interesting mob anyway. That's for sure. But that fashion bit, I couldn't quite understand that. And then they had that big lady who was like the DJ. But they all got very wet too. As you say, it was pretty sloppy to be around in some of those clothes. Some of those clothes, and that would have been those fashion houses, and they're expensive as hell. Anyway. Yeah, it was an interesting opening. I guess, yeah. I liked the touch that they did with Rafa Nadal. I thought that was quite nice. He carrying the Olympic torch, and they had Serena Williams and that sort of thing. And that tied in with the fact that, both of them have been champions at Roland Garros at the tennis. So that all sort of tied in quite nicely. And then I thought that the cauldron were floating on the bottom of a balloon. I didn't know how that was going to continue to work, if it was going to be left up in the air and whether or not the thing would go out, what they put fuel. They must have had some sort of fuel. But I think when I was talking to Mason said, oh no, there was like this big hose thing or something that went up to it. So I guess that was providing gas to the balloon. Anyway, some of the performances, some of the swimming has been fantastic. I think there was one of the girls, there was a lady in the shooting and that sort of thing, got a bronze medal. And as you say, the BMX was really good. The skate, there it is. There's the horse on your screen. Yeah. I don't know what you've reckoned, but the skateboarding, I can't get around the skateboarding. And they've introduced, what have they also introduced? They've introduced, was it breakdancing or something like that? Like, I just don't get that. I can't understand how breakdancing can be an Olympic sport. Yeah. And the skateboarding, well, I don't know about that either. But the BMX, it's been quite exciting, that's for sure. Some of the things that they can do on a BMX bike are pretty amazing. Well, you've gone and dug up the footage of the horse. I don't know. I don't know why's your screen got the. Why have you got the brake on the screen? I don't recall it was like that when it was. Oh, there, that's better. When it was live on TV. That thing was actually, I don't know whether you noticed, but that was actually being towed along by a boat in front of it. I don't know whether you realised that or not, but there was a barge or a boat or something that was in front of that horse towing it along. Anyway, I guess that'll be for sale on Marketplace too. VK3CSJ, VK3GL.
Well, yes. Yeah, no, of course. I saw and thought the same thing. Although I didn't realise that that Celine was miming that lip syncing or whatever they want to call it. I think she did that was very well done because it looked very live to me. So that was clearly, well done, making sure that the audio was going to keep good, which is understandable. That makes a lot of sense if that was the case. So the lip syncing was spot on, and they can do that these days. The ability to be able to sing a song on video on camera and have the audio match up. It's a second art now. But the dancing routines and the fashion was just to do with the openness of the French people in all that sort of thing. That's all they were really covering. I couldn't help thinking, what's this really got to do with the Olympics? I just felt it was a little bit over the top with all this dancing, and the fact that it was raining, and everybody was wet, and it just felt a little uncomfortable for everybody involved. But they had a job to do, and they persevered with it. But I know I made the comment on Facebook, my Facebook page, that give me a standard stadium any day for anything like this. So. Most of the Olympics, the open ceremonies and the closing ceremonies have always been in a stadium where hopefully either the weather is good or the roof is closed for added effect. I don't know, but exactly like I said, the horse scenario. It was impressive in the first 5 minutes, and if they had have come to a conclusion fairly quickly with this horse, it might have seemed all right. But it just kept on doing its thing. I thought, well, what's next? Is it going to mysteriously, evolve into a real horse? How are they going to do this? But you never saw that transition. It was like the last scene was still floating above the water, and then all of a sudden there was a real horse. So didn't quite work. But it would have been more impressive if the horse had been carrying the torch. Because you didn't know what was going on. You had no idea if they were carrying a flag or whatever. I mean, as soon as the guy hopped off the horse, he was given the flag at that point, and that was another flop. That when they raised the flag, there was no wind to unfurl the flag. So you could see that they you could see that they actually turned on some fan somewhere, because the flag was waving like this really quickly, and you could see, that's a fake. They got a fan on it trying to unfurl it, and it didn't work because the flag was so wet from the rain. They just couldn't get it to go out. So it looked like that just didn't look so good. You've got with all the drama that was going on and all the music that was happening in the background and the wonderful speeches that were going on in French, which fortunately there was some English component to it. That would have been nice to have seen in the background, flags waving around in the wind, but it looked pretty anticlimaxy. But the most impressive thing, apart from Celine Dion singing, more or less, was the laser show on the Eiffel Tower. That certainly was very impressive, and that was only really enhanced because of the bad weather. If they didn't have all that rain and mist falling, a lot of that laser light effects from the Eiffel Tower would have been lost in the clear night. So the rain and the mist really helped to emphasise the laser show. So all very, very good. Anyway, at the end of the day, they believe that the opening ceremony was basically successful despite the lousy weather. So usually the closing ceremony is just as amazing as the opening. So that's all being kept a secret at the moment. We have no idea how they're going to participate, how they're going to arrange for the closing ceremony. Hopefully, it'll be indoors. But it's been bloody hot over there. Once the weather cleared and they got blue skies over there, they've been certainly having some pretty extreme hot weather. So, and I'm looking at Channel 9 now. They've got the tennis happening. Australian team playing some team. I don't know who they are. USA. Oh, they're playing the USA. What's the score? Oh, I can't quite see the score. Now I can. Take my glasses off. USA is 6-2 something, and Australia is 1-5 something, 15 I think. Looks like the USA are beating Australia in the tennis there. It's happening. So I don't know. I'm not sure how it all works out. Yeah. But anyway. No, it's all good. I don't mind the Olympics. No problems at all. It's every 4 years, so you can't complain. It's not as if it's every 12 months. All right. I shall depart the scene and leave you with it, and we'll catch up again. The capacitor. What was the story on the capacitor for that board? Did you manage to locate a electrolytic that you can use or replace? I mean, the worst case scenario is that you just put a normal if you've got the room for it, a normal electrolytic, and just an actual radial, and bend the legs to solder down to the pads where that surface mount sits normally. That'll work perfectly well if you've got the room for it, mind you. VK3GL, VK3CSJ.
Okay, VK3CSJ, VK3GL. If you're still watching the tennis, it's on match point for Australia. So, bugger. Australia's one set up and they're 5-2 in the second set, and now it's juice. Yes, I'm just about to knock off too, so I'm going to have to do the handover. Look, the electrolytic, I'm going to go to Alltronics on Sunday. They stock those electrolytics, so I'm going to get a couple of them, and I can remove and replace that without any problem. But that electrolytic, what it does when you look online and you look at some of the issues that are caused, that electrolytic loses loses its guts, and it goes all over the board and causes corrosion on the board.
That's exactly what Steve said.
Steve, 3NF.
I just said that.
The other day when we were chatting, he sent me a video to look at, and I've reviewed that video, and I've actually done some testing. And at this stage, it looks I've got to do some further testing on it, but it's possible that one of the vias that goes between the upper and lower part of the board from one side to the other, which is just a through hole in the board, if that's corroded, then it breaks contact from one side of the board to the other. And I've just got to do some further tracing on that. But I haven't got broken traces. I don't think that the switching transistor that's required to turn on and off for those lamps to work, I don't think that that's being controlled. And the reason I'm suspecting the 16-pin IC that's gone crook is because also the 16-pin IC's got a 5-volt supply. I've checked that. That's all working. But I'm suspecting that the IC, in terms of output's got a fault with it, mainly because there's a TX and an RX LED that are on the board that are supposed to be controlled by that IC as well, and they're not doing anything either. So that's why I suspect that there's some issue with that IC internally, and there's basically no output to control the lamps, and no output to control the red and green PTT RX LED as well. So I think that's where the problem is. Anyway, I've got to do a little bit further digging, but the first thing is to get that electrolytic off the board. It has leaked a bit, and I do have to clean the board up, but I'll do that once I've removed it. Alrighty, I'm just about to knock off, so you have a pleasant good evening, and we'll perhaps catch up with you over the weekend, or maybe one day after work next week or something. VK3CSJ, VK3GL.
Yeah, no worries, Gray. Well, it sounds like you're across the problem there pretty well. This is something you should invest in for a cleaner for your board. I can send this picture across to you, but this product here, which I'm holding up to the camera there, this is what we use at work, and it cleans the flux beautifully off the board. If you use it in conjunction with lint-free cloth, and that's important too, not anything else, but lint, what they refer as lint-free cloth, which I can supply. You spray a little bit on the cloth. It's what it's sitting on is what I'm referring to. We cut it into small pieces, and we just clean the board with a brush, and it removes all the flux and puts a polish on the board. Beautiful. It's really nice stuff. So yeah, I can send that across to you if you didn't already get the notice of that. Alright, I'll leave you with it. It's 12:17, so on that note we shall say 73 to you, and I shall go and watch the rest of this tennis match that's happening, and hopefully they'll win. So VK3GL, VK3CSJ, we'll listen out for you on the wireless over the weekend. I'm hoping the weather might be just nice enough to do some gardening. I've got a small bin out the side here that needs to be filled up of rubbish, so I really need to make a start on that. So if the weather's conducive of being outside, I'll do that and try and get that bin full and get rid of it. Yeah. So with that, we shall say cheers, and likewise have a nice evening, mornings, and we'll catch up with you over the weekend perhaps. VK3GL, VK3CSJ, still transmitting on VK3RTV and YouTube and Discord.
Alright, VK3CSJ, VK3GL, no problem at all. All all noted. Once again, I've knocked off work, so that's okay, which is good. And I'll go and push a few Zs. We've got a busy enough weekend as it is. I've got a few things on to do. Yes, thanks for the cleaning fluid. I actually used a product that I've been using for quite some time from Jaycar. There's a circuit board cleaner, flux remover cleaner, and I normally spray a bit of that on the board and use a toothbrush, and then I've got a cloth here that I just wipe over the board, and that normally cleans it up quite okay as well. I don't know where to get was it Chemtech or whatever they are, to get that from. The last time I inquired with them, they're up in Sydney, but the last time I inquired with them, they had some horrendous price of sending some of that stuff around, or sending that down, because they can't send it via air freight. It's got to come by road and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's it was a lot more expensive. Plus, I wanted to get some solder wick, and the solder wick had gone up in price too. That's horrendously expensive too for a roll. You know, just an 8 metre roll of it. So I actually found if I buy it in bulk, I'd buy 10 rolls of it or something at a time from Alltronics, and it was a lot cheaper to do it that way. So I've ordered a few bits and pieces from them too. Plus, I've also got an account with Radio Parts these days too, and I get a little bit of a discount from them as well if I order stuff from them. Anyway, enough of all that. All right, you have a ripper night. I'm going to disappear and go and push a few Zs. We're in the middle of renovating our ensuite too at the moment, so got tradies that have been coming. I've got tradie coming tomorrow to start the tiling. So we've been through the process of waterproofing it all and all that sort of stuff. About I think roughly for the renovation of our ensuite, about 13,000 roughly to do that. So yeah. Anyway. I'm getting the roof cleaned and everything here too in September. There's another 5,000 just to have the roof and some of the side of the house and everything cleaned with a proper detergent stuff. But then after that, I'm going to get it maintained every 12 months because we've got lichen and stuff growing on the roof, and it's only on the southern side, which is kept moist because of lack of sunshine and that sort of thing. But we've got to get that all removed too. Yeah, anyway, there's the joys of having a property that's as grand as what this is, but it's a lot more costly to maintain than the brick veneer place at Berwick. I didn't have to do anything to that place ever, not a thing. It was easy to maintain, but that's brickwork and aluminium frames and all that sort of stuff. We've got a lot of painting and stuff to do around here, bloody heaps of it. So if you're akin to painting, Clint, I can always give you a job. Catch you, mate. Cheers for now. VK3CSJ, VK3GL. Bye-bye.
Yeah, no worries about that. Well, as you know, I've got my own issues here with this barn, like this wall that's behind me in the view right now. That needs to be fixed up. So until I get this wall fixed up, and I'm really hoping that the timber frame is in good condition. Well, not bad, not termite ridden or not rotten because of water. If I can drive a screw into it or a nail, then I'll be happy. So all I got to do is just replace this plaster, and then paint it, and maybe put another surface over it of something or other, some teak panelling maybe, just to give it that woody look to it. But until I can get that done, I can't really finish with the rest of the shack in getting it set up in this part of the barn. So yeah, I've got my own mucking around. Like as you know, the room next door here, Mum's old bedroom, that needs to be fixed up. A lot of the timber uprights in the wall termite damaged, so all that needs to be replaced. And then once those pieces are replaced, then we can put back the cement sheeting, the plasterboard. I keep always calling it cement sheeting. So yeah, I don't want to be spending too much money on all that, but we'll see how it goes. Yes, all right. But yes, when we were living in West Dandenong, the weatherboard house that you might remember had a terracotta roof, and those terracotta tiles always were quick to grow moss and that sort of thing on it. And I got people in to clean that. They got a high pressure hose up there that cost about at the time was probably about, I think about $1,700 to get them to high pressure clean the tiles, and I think it included regrouting anywhere that needed regrouting, or pointing, I think is the other term. So we ended up with a roof that looked pretty good. The tiles looked brand new, and yeah, it was money worth spent at the time. But I missed that little 3-bedroom house. I really did. It had its problems, apart from a big mortgage. And if we were still there, that paying that mortgage off just for my own, because it's only if, like, Mum would have been gone by now, so it would have been just me looking after that house, and I don't know whether my salary could have really worked on that, paying that place off, if I come to think about it, because I'd be paying everything, gas, electricity, water, council rates, everything flat out, and including the mortgage on it. I would have been really, in fact, I might have even retired early, so that I could get my super to access to my super to completely get rid of it, any debt that's there. Anyway, but that hasn't happened. So, well, I guess we are in a better off. I guess we are in a bit of a better off situation than we would have been, having not to worry about a mortgage. That Fox lady, she's pretty foxy, isn't she? What's her name? Fox something? Can't remember her first name. The canoeist. She's a really nice looking girl, and that's a real Aussie girl there. Anyway, cheers for now. VK3VGL, not VK3GL, VK3CSJ.
Yeah, Jessica Fox. That's it.
That's it, Jessica Fox.
Yeah, she's quite a stunning looking young lady, and I think she's taken for, mate, too. By the way, her mum's French and her old man's Australian, I think, something like that. Anyway. So they do spend a bit of time. I think she's got relatives and stuff over there that she stays with, from what I hear. The other one I reckon who's a stunner is, I've always liked Gian Rooney too. I reckon she's always quite pretty. There we go. All right, catch you later on. 7-3, VK3CSJ, VK3GL, clear and closing for the night. Cheers for now.
Is she participating in a sport, or is she a news weather reader?
No, she's retired, mate.
Who is it?
Gian Rooney.
The name's familiar. What did she used to do?
She was a swimmer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to look her up.
Okay, she's been on TV every night introducing the swimming. It's a wonder you haven't seen her. Anyway, all right, mate. Catch you later. Cheers for now.
That's the blonde chick with the long, skinny neck.
I don't think she's blonde.
I don't know. The name sounds familiar, but I can't recall right now. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll believe you.
Yeah, look it up. Wikipedia.
Yes, no worries. Cheers for now. VK3GL, Bunyip, VK3CSJ.
Yeah, see you, mate. Cheers.
Alright, we are out of here. For everybody that's still watching the video side of it, thank you for watching. And we now conclude our video side of this production. So, at 12:30 AM on the 3rd of August, we shall now finish and say goodnight to you all that's watching still. And we'll be back Sunday morning to do the WIA broadcast, followed by the Radio Amateurs Old Timers News as well. That'll be an hour session on Sunday morning on 160 meters, 1825 kilohertz, and also on Discord. And then an hour later with the ATV session at 10:30 here on this channel, this back channel. And all that noise is in the background. I apologise for all that noise. Anyway, cheers everyone. Take care. Have a nice weekend. This is VK3CSJ in Narrawar. Oh, what's happened to my little... Oh, where is it? No, not that one. Oh, I've lost it. My ID. Struth. Here it is. 10:30. Stand by for colour bars and 400 Hz tone. Well, maybe not the tone. Oh, can I do that? No, it doesn't matter. We say morning.